Hey folks, David Watts here. Got another little Luminar series for you, but it's really more than Luminar. We'll be using Luminar, but really wanted to tell you about a failure I had today. Sometimes we don't talk about our failures enough in photography, when things don't go the way you want them to go. And yet on the same hand, maybe it's not a failure. So let me show you what happened, what I tried to do with it. You can leave your feedback, share your sort of experiences too. That'd be great. I'm here for the weekend in the Washington State area around Seattle, and wanted to go to this place called Picture Lake. And here it is on Google Maps. You get beautiful views. I'll show you that. It's about 2.5 hour drive or so from Seattle. Let me zoom out a little more, and you get a gist of where it is. If you're from the area, you know. But if you're not, I'd suggest if you get to the Seattle area or anywhere in northwestern Washington, drive up to this place, Picture Lake. Let's get down to Seattle here. So here's Seattle. So straight up Interstate 5 basically, and then across over to the mountains. You get nice views. I don't know quite how they say it here locally, but I'd say Mount Shuksan, if that's close to accurate. And here's the kind of views you get on a nice day, right? And these are not my pictures. Not trying to steal anybody's pictures. I just want to show you the kind of views you get. Let's see if this will load for us real quick. While that loads, the bottom line is small lake, beautiful views of Mount Shuksan. I guess it's going to load just a little bit. Doesn't get much bigger, I get. Let's try it this way. Anyway, you get the idea. Beautiful reflections on the water. Obviously, you need clear skies for that. So, at the moment, there's a lot of smoke in the Washington State area. Some of it apparently from the fires in California, some even up in British Columbia. So, let me shift over to Luminar. Here's the picture I actually got. Now, this is a bit of a crop, and honestly, I took it with my iPhone because I knew there was no point whatsoever. You could have a $50,000 camera. There's just too much smoke in the air between you and the mountain. There's no reflection, no visibility, no nothing. Again, here's what you would hope for on a beautiful day. And in fact, you can see this ridge line, these trees right here. And here's those same basic trees, and there is nothing. So, what are your options, right? You could just have the attitude that the whole day is a failure, a couple of 2.5, 3 hour drive. But what I tried to do was say, where else can I take pictures and what else can I do photographically to enjoy the day and the outing? So here's what I did, and hope it might be helpful for you. One of the benefits of these kind of days, if you have that, either where it's really hazy or somewhat overcast, is that you get a lot of light diffusion. Here's another image where you can literally see that layer of smoke just hanging here in the sky. But what it does is it really diffuses the light. So it's pretty sunny, but there's no real harsh shadows. There's some shadows, but basically all this particulate junk, all the smoke in the air, just scatters the light 100 million different directions and makes it rather soft. And so you can get some images that maybe you wouldn't get before. You're not going to get the beautiful landscapes, but maybe you can do some other things. By the way, with this image, if you look down here in Luminar, what you could do if you wanted to improve this just a bit, none of these images are award-winning. I just enjoy taking them and kind of remembering the visit. You could bump up the clarity just a bit. You'll even see that smoke line a little more vividly. I think in this kind of picture, this was taken with my Fuji X100F. The saturation's a little too high, a little too green for my taste. So I typically would like to bring that down just a bit. And to me, that makes it look a bit more realistic. Other things you could do, you could increase structure just a bit for a little more clarity. Might not be necessary. In fact, I probably wouldn't do that. And all the other things you can do, such as the accent AI filter, to make this kind of image a little bit better. But mostly I wanted to show you, just to show that layer of smoke. Again, that's acting almost like this massive light box or soft light diffusion kind of box. So let's see what else we were able to do. Let me discard this. Here is another example. I've got several images here. Because the light's quite soft, I could do some things in the middle of the day that we might not be able to do otherwise. And I kind of liked, again, not award-winning, but I kind of liked the way this turned out. Again, Fuji X100F, it's got only the fixed lens. It's 23 millimeter, full frame equivalent 35. You're not going to get huge bokeh with this lens, but you'll actually do kind of nice in some occasions. And you can see the background is out of focus. I was focusing here on the leaf in the water by this little stream. And you actually get a little bit of these bokeh kind of balls just from the reflection of light. One of the things you might do on this kind of image, I typically would start with the accent AI filter just to see if I like the direction it's going. In many cases I do. Let me leave it there for now. But one thing I thought I'd show you is, you know, sometimes I think there's something you could almost call sort of an Instagram look. Sort of a desaturated look. And I think it kind of popular. Not sure if it should be. Maybe it's more of a fad. But if you want to do that kind of thing, use this matte look down here. It's under Creative. It's a matte look. And let's close up the catalog. Now with the matte look filter, let's start about halfway, maybe even go a little higher. You can add even a little bit of fade to it. You could even play with contrast just a bit. And if you wanted to, and I don't claim to fully understand what all the sliders down here will do in every instance, but usually you learn just by exploring. And you can tweak this just a bit more. You might bring out the greens a little bit with this hue filter. Again, you can play with saturation, get just the look you want. To me, this is kind of a popular, again, sort of call it almost an Instagram look. So here's your original, and here's a little more of an artsy kind of style to it. But again, the point being, I wanted, number one, to show you what kind of things you can do, even on a day that doesn't go as well as you hope. In this case, real hazy, real smoky. But second, show you this matte look and how it might help you in some of your images. Easy to use. Just add it to your current workspace and play with it just a bit more. Remember, you'll get a lot out of the contrast here as well with it. So you can go real contrasty, which I don't think looks nearly as well, and then decrease contrast and get something that is kind of in fashion right now. Probably a fad, but anyway. All right, let's get out of this one. Show you another one I was able to do today. Again, we're just trying to take advantage of a day that didn't go like, didn't get the picture I wanted. But in other areas, while the smoke was above us in this image, this is up on top of some waterfalls. And again, not some award-winning kind of image. But just wanted to show that because the light was soft, we were actually getting pretty nice colors here in the water, kind of this aqua green kind of color. And again, I would typically start with this accent AI filter. I think immediately it makes a nice improvement. And then here I would probably just go with some extra clarity and maybe back off the saturation just a bit. And here we're just kind of seasoning to taste. And you can get some nice results. Again, many cases, middle of the day, especially with this many trees around, you would get some harsh shadows. But this case, relatively soft light, which was nice. All right, look at another example real quick. And this was just another one in much the same place, looking up this little valley with water running down through it. Was trying to frame the tree so that it kind of created a vertical line on the right side. One of the things I try to do is keep the verticals vertical and keep the horizontal lines horizontal where they should be. And so the tree's a little crooked and we're not going to fix that, but sometimes for the sake of just optics, just appearances, so to speak, you might straighten that up just a little bit with the crop tool. It might eliminate a distraction. here, although this is a JPEG file, actually I'm wrong. Let me show you this real quick. Let me reset this. This is a RAW file. And what I meant to show you is it's always good to add the raw develop filter. And that will go straight to the top because that's the first one that should be acted upon by Luminar is the raw develop filter. Let's close out the catalog. Let's zoom in just a bit more so we can see this a little better even if we only see part of the image. And you'll notice, by the way, and I'm running on a Mac, it's not the most recent Mac. I think it's a 2012, 2013 model, so it's a few years old by now. But as you shift around, the image will change sort of back to its default state and then be reprocessed. So give it just a moment to do that. You'll see that flipping back and forth, and it occasionally confuses me, but you'll know what it is. My encouragement is do as much as you can in this raw develop filter. From the white balance, which I think is going to be much better than the other white balance. There's a filter for white balance that works at the JPEG level. If you got a RAW file, I wouldn't use that one. Use the white balance here. Don't forget about the eyedropper, where you can select something that should be relatively neutral. Might try top of the rock here. Let's give it a moment. See how it balances out. I say, I don't like that. It looks a little too cool to me. Let's try the side of the rock. Give it a moment. Sometimes you just don't find anything that really works, and then just manually tweak that until you get it where you want it. Again, you could even do some things with contrast here, as well as shadows. The only challenge here is that it does make these adjustments right away, but as you can tell, it takes it just a second. So it's a little harder to, on the JPEG images, sometimes it responds a little bit quicker. That may just be a function of the speed of the machine, but you can certainly get results fairly quickly. And by lowering the highlights, I was moving them up, probably the wrong direction. By lowering them, we may be able to get some of this detail back in the white, where there were some rapids, and we lost some of the details. Or you can try with the white slider right here. And even clarity. I find better results using clarity at the raw develop layer. And then when you get it where you want it, what I would do, by the way, since it is a raw file in this case, you've adjusted the white balance here, get rid of the color temperature filter. I have found a case or two where it seems like Luminar gets confused, where I see good results on the screen, I export it as a JPEG, and it looks bad. And it took me a while to figure it out, but I think sometimes the raw develop filter and the color temperature filter can get themselves a little confused. So get rid of them if you're not using them. That seems safe to me. When you get the image then about where you want it, then come on to these others and adjust the Accent AI filter if you like that tool. You might try, again, I turn down saturation sometimes. And again, you'll have to season to taste, but hope you get the idea. Again, the benefit on this day, cloudy, overcast, smoky, is fairly soft light. Again, the picture won't win any awards, but just wanted to use it to give you an idea. A couple other pictures real quick. And we'll let this one fly away. And this was down in, again, a small river. Again, not award-winning, but I wanted you to see the point. You can see the smokiness and the haziness up here, so the light, again, is soft. In this case, this is also raw, but just for the sake of time, you can get a lot of value out of the Accent AI filter. You can go a long ways with this, usually. This is art, not science, but you can go a long ways and recover a lot of nice color. The water truly was this kind of aqua green, so it was really cool to see that. And then from here, probably I would do things like a little bit of structure to sharpen up the image, and then maybe just a bit of clarity. And you'll end up with a nice results there. Okay, just another couple of examples, and then we'll wrap it up. The idea, again, of this video is to give you some ideas and to show you some things. Let's see, we've already looked at that one. I think I've got one more at least I wanted to show you. This one, not because it's an interesting picture really, it's only interesting because again of that layer of smoke. And I boosted the clarity just a bit just to highlight it for you in this image. Just terrible layer of smoke, but again diffuses the light, and that can be valuable. Okay, I think I've got one more here at least, two more maybe. Okay, so close to an old hydroelectric facility, power generation facility, these old pipes, and these pipes, you lose a little scale here, but this pipe is probably about 4 feet tall, so quite large. I just like the look and feel of it. Again, with Accent AI, you'll get some nice improvement right away. Another filter I like, and let me find it again. Sometimes if you're like me, it takes just a moment to locate exactly the filter you want. And it will be, well, let's see here. Naturally, you can't always find it when you want it. When I'm looking, yeah, here we go, Details Enhancer. So let me show you where I find this useful. I was focusing right about here on this moss, so let's zoom in, and hopefully the image is relatively sharp and in focus. Whoops. Let's do that again. So what I find helpful, and as you look at this image, this may not have been in perfect focus, and focus may have been a little sharper back this direction. But what I love about Details Enhancer is just, you may want to use it on medium and large, but just mess with the slider for small. And what this will do is sharpen up small details in your image. And I think it gives this added dose of with that applied, and it's kind of hard to see the impact until you switch back and forth. So there's the image before, so look at that metal band, and there's the image after. You might even look at these little specks of grass or whatever they are, and you'll just see a lot of extra clarity and details come into play on that metal band. Here it has texture. Here it's just kind of washed out. You can even go a little higher if you like, and see if that gets you results you like. So again, before and after. It really just sharpens up all the interesting texture here. So that's one I do like. And then regular clarity can also add a little bit of a crispness to the image. Okay, one more and then we'll wrap it up. Hope this might be a little bit helpful to you. And the last one, on a hazy day like this, where the light is well diffused, this can be a good day for small details like flowers. So nice flowers growing up at the higher elevations. Did relatively decent job of focus on little flowers, and these can be a bit of a challenge. I used a little larger aperture, excuse me, a little smaller aperture to get a little larger depth of field than I might normally have used. I like to blur out the background, but with say an aperture of 2 or 3.2, you might focus here, and by the time you get back to the leaf, you may be out of focus. So something a little larger can help a lot. So again, for me, Accent AI filter starts to get you in the ballpark pretty quickly. Here you might also want to adjust with this tone filter. Sometimes the smart tone will give me nice results that I'm looking for. And I just usually have to go back and forth with it multiple directions. And to me, that helps a bit. You might, because you've got a lot of bright up here where that sun was being diffused by the smoke, you might back off the highlights a little. That doesn't help actually. You might try the whites just a little. Probably doesn't do much. Apart from that, you might try a little structure just to bring out the crispness of the details. I tend to think that's probably too much. And then I'm always kind of thinking that some of the images come out just a little too vibrant and look a little cartoonish, and so start to back that off just a bit. Again, a nice way to see your before and after. Turn that filter off, turn it back on. So off, back on. I think with that saturation dropped just a bit, it makes it more realistic. Maybe a bit of clarity, In this case, I'll say no. Actually, I don't think that helps. Let's get rid of the filter. So this is always a process of experimenting and just trying to get a nice image. Take hopefully what's a nice image and make it a little better. I like to try to keep it real, not be too cartoonish or don't go overboard with it. A nice way to look at this, again, is to look at the original and look after. And you can really, as you flip back and forth, you can really see what did we achieve. Well, the background was kind of dark. We were able to bring that up just a bit. Keep a good focus on the flowers. We didn't make anything look too strange or cartoonish. And here the soft light from all the diffusion of the smoke and haze, I think, helped us and gives us a little better image. So that's really it. Just wanted to share. It's a bit of a failure today, but maybe it's not a failure. If we learn something, it's always good. And there are going to be days where it's just not going to work for landscape. But you can do other things. You can have fun. You can practice your skill, practice your art, and get better. And that's what we're all trying to do. So I hope that might help a little bit. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you next time. See you. Bye.